the most recent news in terms of stuff that's actually happened, and there's not been a lot of that. But this morning we've had some kit news. The club have put out via their newsletter. Quite a fun little game actually. If you got the newsletter, you could scratch off the kit reveal date, which is this Saturday, July the 5th. And obviously we've had some news around that this week as well, in terms of the front of shirt sponsor and also the sleeve sponsor, Stu. Which you largely led in terms of coverage. What did you make of this? Good to see. Obviously, we knew that Ed wasn't going to be the front of shirt sponsor anymore. Good to see another Suffolk company on the front though, and it's not just another Suffolk company; it's a Suffolk company doing big things on a global level.
Yeah, I think it's important to say, give the club some accolades for standing firm in not following the crowd and in going with gambling sponsors, gaming sponsors, as they're referred to. No one seems to know what any of these 96.com 888 blah 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 ones are, to be honest. So yeah, Halo, didn't know much about them, to be honest. I live in mid Suffolk. I've kind of driven past Halo many times, wasn't 100% sure what they did, to be honest, and then they appeared on the shirt sleeve and I thought, what are they? And you kind of look into it, still didn't really know a great deal about them, but they're doing some more reading this week. They are mega. They're basically sort of, their description is disrupting the tech industry. They're software creators that are now selling products to Microsoft and Siemens and some major companies. They've got global offices all over in Melbourne and America and all sorts, sponsoring an McLaren F1 team recently, and now they're on the front of the Ipswich shirt. So yeah, it's great to see Ipswich going back to local. We've had sort of in the past Fisons and Green King, and then after the Marcus Evans era and Magical Vegas, which looked pretty rubbish, didn't it?
Yeah.
Nice to be back local. With Ed going, I think they're a fitting company to take over, I would say.
And Ashton said previously that it's a club record deal as well, Stu. So obviously very, very good from a business side of things for the club.
If they're paying more money than Ed Sheeran, then they've obviously got a few quid, haven't they? So I think Ed's been pretty clear that, obviously he took on the sponsorship in League One, probably didn't dream of doing it in the Premier League, and maybe cost him a little bit more than he was anticipating when I think he was interviewed at the Miami Grand Prix around this time last year on the eve of the I can't remember, it was around the playoffs time, and he said, yeah, I am sponsor next year, but I am going to have to do a little bit more gigging, which is difficult when you're Ed Sheeran, and he seems to gig every night of the year anyway. Yeah. But I've got a pretty chunky sponsorship deal to pay for. So he managed to ride out his Premier League season, and now he's handed on the reins, and it's essentially a swap deal, isn't it, between front of shirt and shirt sleeve?
Yeah, Big Ed's still going to be on the sleeve. AJ, have you ever had any tingly Teds?
No, I have not. I feel like we're going to need to have I feel like we should have a tasting session.
Yeah, I meant to go out and get some this morning actually, and do a little taste test live on the pod. I'd be interested to have a go.
I didn't know you could really buy them in supermarkets, so we are going to have to do that. I think the biggest thing for me, aside from the positives that come with it not being any sort of gambling sponsors and with it being a local brand and a big name brand, I think is also the logos look quite nice. I think it's really good.
True.
I mean, Halo in general, it's just simple and slick. And the one thing that you want with a shirt sponsor is it being simple and slick. West Ham have done their kits this morning, and it's Boyle Sports. So another betting one, and it's just plastered right on the front of their shirt, and I think it looks horrible. And there's quite a few kits like that, and I think that obviously we'll have to wait and see what Ipswich looks like. But I think that with the logo that Halo have got, it feels like something that would suit an Ipswich kit on the front, and also even with the sleeve sponsor as well. Seen some bad ones in the past, and from what we can see with the Tingly Teds one, although it's unique, I do quite like it as well.
Sainsbury's #1 selling hot sauce, Tingly Teds, I'm told. I don't know if you boys have got much experience of hot sauce. I've had some in Barbados and St. Lucia. Very different levels of heat as well, I'd say. But Bayesian hot sauce, pretty mild. But then I made the mistake, having been to Barbados, of lathering it up in St. Lucia. A lot hotter, much to the entertainment of the people in the restaurant I was in, as I stuck my tongue into a glass of milk. Stewie, that could be the freeze frame, actually, couldn't it? That for the whole podcast. Stewie, it's a good point that AJ makes. Halo. I mean, the other apart from the narrative behind Ed Sheeran and being a local boy done good and then sponsoring his football team. One of the great things about that was the logo looked brilliant. I mean, it's probably like the best logo in front of shirt sponsorship in football. And Halo, as what we've seen so far, again looks just nice and classic, doesn't it? Classic. It's not one of these horrendous things like you mentioned, Magical Vegas.
Yeah, that was an abomination, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Not just because it was a gambling firm, but they stuck with the original logo to start with, which was like multicolored, which stood out like a sore thumb on the shirt. They've just gone for the crisp white look, which ideally football shirts wouldn't have sponsors plastered all over them, but that's the business that we're in. So if you have to do it, at least make sure it's a right fit in terms of a local brand, not gambling. They kept it white, ticked all the boxes, and it's bringing in some good money by the sounds of things as well. So everyone's a winner.